right. The approval of the minutes from September 10th.
So moved?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Ms. Bond?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Ms. Monaco?
Aye.
Mr. Boychuk?
Yes.
Dr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cuna?
Yes.
Kasha?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
I didn't hear this.
Mrs. Priest?
Aye.
I vote aye. Nine zero one. And 1
He's
0.
on.
Yeah.
Is
Who are you
David
looking for?
vote?
Dennis? David doesn't vote.
Yeah.
Doesn't- Oh, David, sorry. You're right. David? Mr. Rosenblatt?
I'm not hearing him.
So
Awesome.
we're going to call him Davey from now on?
Oh, yeah. For your handbook. So can they not hear me or we can't hear them?
No, it popped up saying that he was speaking, but we can't hear
We
him.
can't
Okay.
hear him.
Oh, there we go.
About that, so.
Hang on one sec. I can hear you, we're just real quiet. Bob's gonna,
It should be
Play with
coming out
it.
of this. Should be coming out of here. Can play out of that, but it's not gonna be great. David, can you hear us?
Coming from the TV.
Yeah, it's coming out of that.
we can just, I think you're coming out of the TV instead of the speakers.
David, one more time?
Yes.
That's not great, but you can change.
Just ask him if he votes
Yeah,
yes.
do you want to
for the
vote yes or
minutes.
no for the minutes? Okay.
Abstained.
And Mr. Valano, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
All right, I just, can you, are you gonna, would
He
you like
said
to vote?
yes.
He said yes?
Yep.
Yes, okay.
I can barely hear it.
He can hear him.
Okay, all right,
I can hear
Jen, we
him
are
say yes.
counting of the online votes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10 yes, 1 abstain. All right. Bob's gonna fix that, and we are gonna look at invoices. Let's do some. All right. Do I have a motion on the invoices?
You want
moved.
Separate, or how do you want the?
Separate, please. Separate, because they're Dornwood and Danisco.
I move that we approve the Doran Whittier invoice number 25 in the amount of $20,246.75 for the remainder of the schematic design.
Second.
Any questions on the invoice? No? All right, Ms. Bond?
Yes.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Monaco?
Yes.
Ms. Wojcik?
Yes.
Dr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cuna?
Yes.
Ms. Kasha?
Yes.
Mrs. Priest?
Aye.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Okay, we got you now. Mr. Rosenblatt?
Yes.
All right, and I am yes. 1100.
I move we approve Danisco invoice number 10067 in the amount of $3,030 for reimbursable expense Eversource Consulting.
I'll second it.
Any questions on the Danisco invoice? All right, Mrs. Bond?
Aye.
Mr. Brooks?
Aye.
Ms. Monaco?
Aye.
Mr. Wojcik?
Yes.
Dr. Conti?
Yes.
Mr. Cuna?
Yes.
Ms. Kasha?
Yes.
Mrs. Priest?
Yes.
Mr. Valano?
Yes.
Wow.
Mr. Rosenblatt?
Yes.
He meant it.
I vote yes. 11-0.
I move we approve the Doran Whittier contract amendment in the amount of $3,000.
$3 million.
Ooh, $3 million. Hold it, wait a minute,
Yeah.
what?
This is the next section, next phase of the project.
I move we approve the Doran Whittier contract amendment in the amount of $3 million. Holy smokes. I guess I'll second it.
Madam Chair?
Oh, yeah, Dr. Conti has some comments. Oh,
Was there a second? I
I'll
just-
second it,
yeah,
yeah.
Okay,
Catherine
second. Just wanted to say, Nicole and I have looked at these, and
The contracts have also been seen by JD and Mr. Sagarino, Mr. Denizio at Town Hall. The MSBA has set dollar amounts, so we are recommending moving forward and approving these contracts. So that was my comment.
Okay.
Any other questions? I can't see if there's hands online, so just shout out loud.
There are no hands
Okay,
online.
and I didn't get anyone else, right? No, okay. So it's moved and seconded, the Dorn Whittier contract for $3 million for our next phase of the project. Ms. Bond,
Yes.
Mr. Brooks,
Aye.
Ms. Monaco,
Aye.
Ms. Nevoychuk,
Yes.
Dr. Conti.
Yes.
Mr. Cuna,
Yes.
Ms. Kasha.
Yes.
Mr. Valano,
Yes.
Ms. Priest,
Aye.
Mr. Rosenblatt,
Yes.
and I am an aye. It's 11-0.
I move we approve Danisco contract amendment in the amount of $7,345,000.
Second it?
Questions on this one? No? All right.
Everything that you said about the other one stands for this one, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Ms. Bond,
Aye.
Mr. Brooks,
Aye.
Ms. Monaco,
Aye.
Ms. Nevoychuk,
Yes.
Dr. Conti,
Yes.
Mr. Cuna,
Yes.
Ms. Kasha,
Yes.
Mrs. Priest,
Yes.
Mr. Valano,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenblatt.
Yes.
I vote yes. Another roaring unanimous. Okay.
Can I say something
Yeah.
before we move on? I just want to say, if anybody is watching, thank you to town meeting. This is really exciting. Congratulations to everyone in the room. This was, it was a lot of work, but passed a town meeting with an overwhelming majority. So I personally, I'm thrilled, and I'm excited for everyone who's got a role in this as we move forward. It's going to be great.
Awesome.
We're so excited.
Yeah, I'm actually excited for this next slide, so Andrew or Steve, are you guys running this one?
Yeah, we'll just echo and thank you, Chris, for your comments. It was a lot of work and pleased with the result. So we're happy to present at least the next year's worth of the project schedule on the heels of the town meeting vote. There's a couple hurdles to get over, which is in the MSBA's module called Funding the Project. We can execute the project scope and budget agreement with the MSBA, followed by the project funding agreement. The project funding agreement is a critical step because it allows the district to resume reimbursements with MSBA following feasibility phase. So once we cross that, and the two documents are very similar. The project scope and budget is just that. It's the scope, the budget, and the schedule, which we're now all familiar with, but is an agreement with the MSBA. And the project funding agreement, until that's signed, there's no agreement for future reimbursement. So we expect that to kind of trail into, but hopefully not much beyond next month, the end of November, so that we can begin resuming reimbursements with the MSBA. But for all intents and purposes, with the vote and the extensions of the contracts for the consulting team, we are in design development. So everything that we said in schematic design, where, we still have time to design, it's not fully designed, but we're well on the way, is design development is really the meat where that happens. Following design development, and these three kind of lanes in yellow are all kind of part of the detailed design module with MSBA. Following design development, which we plan to submit to the MSBA by the end of February, would go into construction documents, which is broken into two distinct phases, the 60% and 90%. That's really where the designer and their consultants are, the design extends into construction documents a little bit. It's really about putting down everything that we'll be talking about for the next several months, design-wise, into drawings, details, ultimately into a set that we can put out to bid for a contractor. So that's roughly the next year. It's a lot of design and detailing, continuing a lot of the conversations we started in schematic design and even way back in feasibility. So it's just a really high-level kind of schedule of where we're at. We're proposing at least monthly building committee meetings and potentially working group meetings in the interim to advance the conversations and make, or get some input on the direction of the design over the next year. So at the end of '25, we plan to bid in December of next year. I know it seems quite a ways off, but it will be here before we know it. It's all very exciting. So just wanted to go over really kind of high level where we'll be, where we are and where we're going over the next year. I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about what we'll be doing in design development or kind of the first couple of activities, but overall just really excited to roll up our sleeves and get going.
I think just first, our goal is now to reintroduce a couple of the working groups. Now that we can move forward, we have the exterior working group and the site working group, right? So we want to refine and develop what the exterior looks like, as well as make sure that the site amenities, the play fields, the playground, more importantly, that will take a life on its own. And then also kind of circle back and really fine tune the interiors. We'll have interior working group, which is predominantly school department, Fox Hill folks, and then the exterior is the working groups that we established. So I don't know if we maybe send out a reminder of what working group you all signed up for. Megan, I'm not even sure if you signed
No, I
up
was
for
not
one.
offered an
Right,
opportunity to do so yet.
maybe,
Yeah, we're going to talk about that, yeah.
Okay. Other than that, we have an amazing basis to start or complete the design. What you've seen is only going to get refined and better, so.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what we want to say is that at the end of the last phase, we landed in a very good place. So as we head into design development, the adjacencies where the spaces are located, the relationships aren't going to change. We're just going to take these spaces and refine them more, have additional meetings with staff and stakeholders, and make sure that our building really does respond to all the needs of the kids as well as the staff as well as the community. So it's really a great time. We're really excited because as it's called design development, we're really developing the design of this building. And I
Yeah, maybe before we move on from schedule, I think we talked about it previously, that as the design gets more detailed, each of these 3 phases are check-ins in terms of a cost estimate as well. So this is, towards the end of each phase, we send it again to 2 independent estimators, reconcile, review those costs and results with you at the end of each of these phases. So it's as it gets more developed, we just want to make sure we're still on the right track. Any questions schedule-wise? What's coming up, or? It's okay if you don't.
Again, just exciting. I think sometimes we front-load the site visits, and I always, sort of in hindsight, thought it might be nice to, as we're going through design development, when it's actually a real project, getting teachers back out to look at the difference between cubbies and lockers and
idea.
actually seeing that stuff, just because comparing it to what I have is a different conversation than, boy, this now is going to be something that is going to be happening and what it could look like. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, that's an excellent idea, and it's also kind of a refresher, almost to say this is where we landed. We still have time to change, if that's your,
Again, the one dumb thing I
It's a
think I
good
remember
idea.
from is like the sink faucet was too far back or something, and the teacher said the young kids couldn't reach the faucet, like just something like that
Yeah, yeah.
stuck in my head, and it was just one of those things where, I was like, okay, I don't even have to worry about that, like make sure we have a building before we worry about the sink, and
Right,
now that we
right,
have the
right.
building, now, does that make sense? That's all.
It makes total sense, and I think there were some, everything that you've seen in all of the videos has been discussed and agreed upon, but certain elements, we definitely want to go back and refine. So we can certainly maybe try to cull those out and then organize our visits based on what elements we really want to go back and relook at, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's all.
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so what we have here is a list. I kind of just went right through the next year to look at possible dates for upcoming SBC meetings. We like to have them about once a month to kind of really use people's times wisely. This month, we will need to have a second in October because we will have to have a couple of invoices approved, so Danisco can move ahead with some site drilling and proposals, rather, so we can move forward with some testing over Veterans Day. So that will be a short meeting just to review the proposal and hopefully approve. And then after that, I did cross-reference the Burlington calendar, and it ends up being that every third Tuesday there was availability to have this specific SBC meeting. We will, at some points, when we're about to submit to the MSBA, we might need to piggyback off of a school committee meeting with a short approval. But that's only for probably 3 of the months. And once we come up on them, we'll notify you well in advance. So this is kind of a starting off point, again, flexible, but a placeholder so everybody can
The 18th is vacation week.
figure out their schedule.
February, sorry, I think is
I was
vacation.
going to say April, I think is also vacation week.
But we can go
Okay.
around them.
So February 18th. So, okay. So those might be months that we piggyback off of school committee as well, unless we can pinpoint a better day. But for now, it gets us through at least the end of the year. Anybody have any other questions on this? Okay, so as Donna mentioned, we are looking to dust off the working groups. And Danisco and Doran Whittier actually met today to figure out the best way to build these working groups, to get the best input. And what we came to the conclusion of, and again, we're gonna take direction from you guys. We want this to be easy for everybody. We want everybody to participate who wants to participate. So we thought it would be best to have kind of a once monthly working group ahead of the SBC. People can sign up if they want to be on that. Danisco will present. We can go over a variety of topics. Site design will be a big one. Building design, we decided that interior and exterior work together. So to make that one working group, I think would be beneficial. And then building systems and sustainability, which won't meet as often, but will be a working group that we'll put together. And that group can then report back in the next week or so to the SBC. So we'll have smaller input reporting back to the larger group, if that works for this committee. If not, we can have individual working groups for each topic, but we thought it would be a better use of people's times to kind of do a once monthly versus 3 different meetings a month. But again, we'll take direction from.
So could I also just add to the description? So when we talk about building design, the finishes are part of, it's just one component of the building design. So what we wanted to do was, in some cases, piggyback the interior with the exterior, because as we start to look at components like windows, we're going to be looking at the exterior, but you're going to say, well, what does it look like on the inside? What does the classroom look like with these windows? So we can't completely separate the inside from the outside. So there will be meetings where we're specifically looking at the exterior materials and proportions and how things are working together, but it kind of goes hand in hand with also what goes on the inside, because you will ask. We will be designing so that we meet the latest energy codes. There's a certain requirement for the amount of windows, which does impact how you feel in a certain space depending on the amount of windows. So that's why we said, okay, well, while we're going to have meetings that potentially could be totally interior oriented, and those would be programming, developing the details of these spaces, when we're looking at the physical building design, we're going to piggyback some of that with the exterior. Does that make sense? And it's a little bit iterative in terms of, design is not linear, because as we design, we're always checking. We're kind of going back to our assumptions and what decisions were made, and people will ask questions, we'll kind of come back and revisit certain areas, but we're in the process of developing kind of a roadmap for all of the meetings that we'll need to have to happen during design development, and that will kind of take into account what we're looking for decisions for with regard to the site, with regard to the building envelope, with regard to the interior finishes, and even, the details of the layouts. There are going to be minor changes. This door may move over here, but, in terms of the spaces, they're going to pretty much remain as is. It's just really a refinement of design. So I hope that's not confusing, but we'll be sharing more information with regard to some of these meetings, and I think Dora and Woody are going to share kind of how the breakdown of meetings might occur during the course of the upcoming months.
Yes, Danisco has put together a preliminary kind of schedule for these meetings, and instead of pulling up the old working groups, I'm just going to send around an email to the whole SBC and just do a re-sign up. We'll block off what's, going to be discussed, and we'll have people sign up that way.
But I think just going back to Eric's suggestion, which is a great one, there will be conversations that we'll have just with the staff and make sure that we review everything with them, right? It has been a long time. I feel like it's been forever. So just making sure that the decisions that were made a year ago or 6 months ago, that would continue, and that they haven't changed their minds.
Through the chair. So you were saying, how many working groups total will there be? Because I know they were combining some. Are you going to combine everything? And then I want to make a suggestion based on your response to my question.
Well, we were discussing multiple options. We kind of met this afternoon and talked about what has worked on previous projects.
Yeah.
And one working group where we discussed some items that we could put on an agenda like the week before of what's, needs to be decided on that week and needs to be reported to the SBC would be the best scenario, I think, because it can nail people's time down. And that would mostly be the building design meetings with some site design, and then the building systems and sustainability would be every now and again.
All right, so basically 2 working groups?
2 working groups.
Okay. So, for example, the building design group, which would be the combined, I was going to make a suggestion that since these meetings tend to be an hour or less, that maybe we have that meeting happen right after this one, so we're not, it makes it easier, and I think you might have a good attendance, better attendance of people, because we're already here, right? And then we get other people to join, and you're not now having to try and schedule around other town meetings and other, groups that people are in or whatever. It just kind of, then we can have that other group maybe be the other monthly meeting, just a suggestion.
Okay, great.
Ms. Simon?
So are you saying then if there's going to be 2 main working groups, that you don't feel there's a need for ongoing sustainability working group? The building systems are not as big. We've decided already a lot of that stuff, so there's not as much to be done. Is that what that sort of thinking is?
Yeah, I mean, yes, so we have established the building systems, right? Utilizing the ground source, heat pumps, and the fan coil units. We will have sustainability elements as we go along. We have the LEED scorecard that we're going to have to do, but primarily, we've set the groundwork for what needs to get done. Similar to what we were saying, that we'll have cost estimates, right, at every phase. We'll also, double check on the energy models and make sure that we're still in line with everything that we've set out to do as well. So there isn't a whole lot of changes that need to occur or should occur with the sustainability aspect of it.
So if I may follow up, my belief is that a lot of the interior and possibly exterior building design is also going to be impacting the energy usage and efficiency and all that stuff, and involving what kind of toilets they're going to be used, which ones are low flush or not low flush, and which ones break easier, and so they're not really better to do. So where would that conversation go? Would that go in building design interior? But it would be, there's overlap, obviously,
There's a
like,
lot, yeah,
okay,
there's so much
so all of
overlap.
those kind of sustainability questions would continue to be discussed,
Yeah.
even if it's not the sustainability working group.
Exactly, yeah.
Thank
It's just impossible to pull them out separately because they're all so intertwined. As we design, sustainability is kind of like, it's in the forefront.
Yeah.
So what we'll do is, as we kind of work out this roadmap, we'll also be sharing agenda items for each of those meetings, and when we're at certain milestones, we'll have many items regarding sustainability and design to discuss. So it's not going to be a specific sustainability meeting, but it'll be a building design meeting, and here are some of the sustainability questions and comments and considerations that we want to discuss. So that will definitely be spelled out in the agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Roger.
I guess I'm still keen to figure out how to get the solar panels and the solar energy decisions get made in a timely fashion. And I think one of the key pieces that we figured there is how to pay for it and when to pay for it. I personally would like to see it be done so that it's, in place by the time the building opens, as opposed to being put off. But we do need to figure out how to pay for it, whether it's separate, or we take a chance on it fitting in the contingencies, et cetera, et cetera. So it's still on, I'm not going to lose track of that agenda.
No, thank you, and that could as well fall under the sustainability element, but I think probably makes sense to work with Nicole and Bob to kind of start thinking about, do we go out and get proposals, like, well, what's the best path
Right.
for the solar? And you probably want to look at both options, right? Purchasing and PPAs, so just so you can make an informed decision and then pay back and all of that, yeah.
Yeah, the canopies is a good example for which working group does it fit in? And the answer is all of them, right? It has impacts to the site design, the exterior, of the building, systems, and sustainability. So when folks have a hard time adopting kind of that working group kind of model, it's not to say that everything has to fit cleanly in each of the working groups. It's just within their purview, how does that impact? But the idea is that larger discussion and decision, if it's a kind of tug of war between the sustainability aspect and the design aspect, is to have that discussion with the entire committee. No decisions are being made in the working groups. It's to allow Danisco to get some feedback so that they can bring that to the next building committee meeting so that those can progress the design. So if we're only meeting as a building committee, for instance, once a month, and we get some feedback on the design that kind of not has to go backwards, but has to think about it and kind of present the same thing the next month, it's, a lot of time has gone by. So we're just trying to be as impactful and as meaningful with each time we can engage the group to kind of keep pushing the dominoes over. So I kind of think of the working groups as an extra opportunity or an extra kind of check-in to make sure decisions are moving forward, or any of those discussions to go across the working groups, we can have that discussion as well.
I also am pointing out, or just noticing, I don't know if anyone else picked up, it said field lighting.
So that,
There is no field lighting in this project. I don't want anyone to think that we're putting lights on the fields. So that's sort of just like an all-encompassing topic, that there is no field lighting. One less meeting.
Yeah, I just want to clarify, I thought I heard an implication that doing the investigation about, I appreciate your question, Roger, I think that's an important one. What I thought I heard you say is that Bob and Nicole are going to put out for bids, so that implies that the solar canopies and panels and things are not part of your project?
Right. Now, what we were suggesting is there's two different ways to go about getting solar panels and canopies. One is through a power purchase agreement.
Right.
And then one is to actually go ahead and purchase them.
Right.
So we should be looking at both.
Okay.
Right? So we would need the help of school department to understand what kind of arrangements or agreements that could occur through the school department. I think that's how you've done it in the past, right?
Right.
Yeah. Versus having, we can cost it and there would be a separate, do we still have money? I think, I'll have to double check, but if we don't, I think we have money allocated for, further solar development. For that. It's not included in the scope of the project, construction, design, any of the above right now.
The piece that I'm interested in making a trade-off, the report that came from you was very good in exploring predominantly the buy it up front and install it up front, that option. And in particular, the thing I'm interested in is the sort of the long-term savings in operational costs.
It's huge.
And we'll need to take the PPA proposal and be able to put the lines on the same graph to say what the investment is and what the payoff is, to be able to compare.
Right. And then who's managing it, replacement of them, right? Like all of that. Yeah.
Anyway, I know there's more discussion to have, and we probably shouldn't, we don't want to do it here, but we need to.
No, but that's a good example of, we have to do some legwork, and then we can, and probably get Ways and Means involved too, right? Or depending on how it's getting paid for.
Just a quick question, the solar panels are not part of the MSBA reimbursement stuff, just for.
That is correct.
Okay,
That is
thank you.
correct. Solar panels, there is money or incentives and rebates out there for solar panels.
They're separate
independent of
programs.
that. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
All right, so you're going to email everyone the option for working groups.
I've been thinking about Catherine's suggestion, and I think it makes sense to try to combine like that. I'm just wondering if we have a working group meeting right after the SBC meeting, how useful that will be, because it won't have been brought, the discussion and process won't have been brought to the full school committee before there's a month that you're going to be working on the plan. So I don't know what the right answer is, but I don't know if we can even reverse the order. Do working groups the first hour and on a night when there isn't school committee afterward, and do the SBC second or something like that. But anyway, just to think about those issues too.
Thank you. This is just a list of other anticipating meetings that we plan to have through the design development phase. Conservation Commission is very important. Planning Department. The DCM group was great. We met with them once. It covers a lot of different departments: DPW, Parks and Rec, Traffic and Safety, Police and Fire, the Sustainability Working Group, as we said, and any other town offices or departments that we should know about. I think we've captured most things, but we thought we'd bring it to the committee as well.
Just out of curiosity, DCM is short for?
Department coordination meeting.
Okay.
It's the town-wide, all the department heads.
So we'll spend some time reaching out and just setting up meetings over the next couple of months.
I have no topics.
Nothing?
Do you?
Have any public comment?
Oh, no, okay. And anybody on the? With no public.
Okay. All we have.
And you,
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.